Hi, I'm C.C. Péan, and this is Reclaiming Your Health. Hello, everyone. I'm C.C. Péan, and this is Reclaiming Your Health. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I'm so happy to be here. I'm happy to have you all as my audience, and I'm excited about today's dish. So I was thinking, I am a carbaholic. Okay, I grew up in a West Indian and West African home. And if there's one thing that West Indians and West Africans have in common, it's our love of carbohydrates, mainly rice. I grew up eating so much rice in my home. I can literally walk through a door and tell you what type of rice is cooking. My parents would go to the Asian market and buy a 50-pound bag of rice monthly, and we would get through it. No potatoes in our house, no pasta, uh, no shepherd's pie. It was rice, 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 and more rice. I love rice, but rice doesn't necessarily love me, especially white rice. As we are looking at improving our health, eating better, eating for longevity, white rice is something that either we get rid of altogether or we eat it sparingly. So what do we do when we want to have something like a bowl of just yummy veggie fried rice? How do we do that? What can we put in place of this rice that will be just as delicious, but good for us? Quinoa. That's it. I really, really love quinoa. And I love the fact that quinoa is one of those grains that can take the place of rice in so many things. If you like rice porridge, quinoa porridge. If you like fried rice, quinoa fried rice. If you like a rice salad, quinoa can take the place of that. Quinoa is great in wraps. It's great in Buddha bowls. It's great in everything, and it's good for you. So I came up with this recipe for making a quinoa fried rice that is so delicious. It's so full of flavor and great for you. Now I'm going to give you a couple of tips about this quinoa before I go through the ingredients. One of the things you must do, hi Phyllis, one of the things you must remember to do when you are making fried rice, quinoa fried rice, your rice needs to be a day old, or at the very least, cook it in the morning, put it in the refrigerator, do not even cover it. You want that rice to almost dry, you want the quinoa to almost dry out. The other thing is, when I fix quinoa for this preparation in particular, I use just a little less water. So if I typically would do 1 cup of quinoa to 2 cups of water, I'll do 1 cup of quinoa to 1.5, 1 3/4 water, because I want the grain to be kind of sturdy and al dente. Why? Because you're going to be cooking this at high heat in your wok or in your frying pan, and it's going to cook more. So if it's too soft to begin with, you will have mushy fried rice or fried quinoa. Quinoa is what we're cooking. I know I'm gonna mess up that a million times tonight. You're gonna have mushy fried quinoa. And I kind of like sticky, mushy rice sometimes. Didn't I say I was gonna say this a million times? I kind of like mushy quinoa sometimes, but not this way. Okay? So what's gonna go in this dish tonight? Well, the star of this dish is going to be our quinoa. Our quinoa. We have some fresh garlic, fresh ginger, and some chopped onions. We've got some scallions. This is so chock full of flavor. We've got some fresh carrots, some peas. We've got bean sprouts. We've got snow peas, okay? Bringing even more flavor to the table, we're gonna use some toasted sesame oil. It must be toasted sesame oil. If you have a problem with toasted taste, use regular, but this is really gonna give it that real authentic, like, Chinese takeout flavor. We're gonna use a little bit of gluten-free tamari. This is just what I have. If you don't have gluten-free, it's not necessary. You can just use regular tamari or you can use tamari or soy sauce. I would suggest low sodium. We are going to use just egg because we're going to do a quinoa egg fried rice. And to kick this egg flavor up a notch, guess what we're going to use? Tofu scramble magic, which is about to go have a name change. But this is going to make our just egg taste like real egg. And finally, we're going to use some 5-spice. This is going to bring everything all together, okay? All right, so a couple other things that I wanted to tell you. This 2 cups of this, by the time we finish, this is going to be a real heaping helping. You're going to have about 4 main servings or 8 sides. And I wanted to say that because we're using 2 tablespoons of oil. And I know for some people that might seem excessive, but one person is not eating this. This is going to be a minimum of 4 servings or a maximum of 8 servings, okay? So, well, not a maximum of 8. It could be 15 servings if you want. But what I'm saying is that oil is gonna get divvied up. Of course, you can use some kind of spray if you want to instead, or minimize the oil if you'd like to. Some people like to saute with a little bit of water. I wouldn't suggest that in this, but hey, that's what you want to do, that's fine. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on our egg. I like to do my egg first and then set it aside. I don't like to scramble my egg or my just egg into the rice. I like to do everything separately and then in the end kind of toss it together. So I am using about a tablespoon and a half of the just egg, of the tofu scramble magic with the just egg. And I'm just gonna stir it together here to make sure it's well incorporated. I'm using a wok today, but you don't have to use a wok. You can use a frying pan. You don't have to use a wok. A non-stick frying pan does just the same job. So I'm gonna put about a teaspoon of oil in my pan. This is gonna go so quickly. This is one of those dishes that really goes quickly. What takes the most time is really like prepping your vegetables. So my oil is hot. I hope my alarm doesn't go off in my house. My oil is hot, and I'm just gonna scramble this egg. This is such a great product. I'm just scrambling this, kind of sticking a little bit at the bottom. Turn the heat down a little bit. Okay. And now I'm just going to take this out of the pan. Put it back in here. And we will come back to this at the end. This will get tossed. This will get tossed into our rice. I don't mind the crispies. One of the great things about the Just Egg product is it doesn't ever get that burned egg flavor because it's not a burned egg. So if it's cooked a little more than you would usually cook traditional egg, it's perfectly fine. So never fear with that. Okay. So we've got our egg is scrambled. We're going to put that to the side. Now we're going to go back here. We're going to put some more oil in the pan. Coat the sides with it. See how quickly this is going. I said I was going to use 2 tablespoons, and I am using 2 tablespoons. So to this, I'm going to add my onions, my garlic, and my ginger. This is so key for this flavor. And fresh, please use fresh. Nothing bottled, nothing canned. Oh, this smells glorious already. And you're going to see how quickly this goes. I bet you we're going to finish this in under 30 minutes. Now, you all know what I always say. I like texture in my food, so I don't cook my things down to oblivion. The next thing I'm going to add are my snow peas. There are so many different vegetables you could use this. You could use cabbage, you know, there's so many different things you can use. I like to keep mine. It may seem kind of complicated, but this is actually rather simple. Okay. The next thing we're going to add are our carrots and our peas. Now, I used fresh carrots. One of the things I did though is I blanched my carrots for about 2 minutes because I didn't want to have to cook them a long time in the wok. You know, the wok is like a high heat quick fry. So I did that and then I drained them. And I have a half a cup of peas here. If you like a little more crunch, by all means, you don't have to blanch it. But I didn't want too much crunch. So now that goes in. And really what you're doing with the peas and the carrots, you're not cooking them, you're warming them through, okay? This smells so good. And as we've talked about, when we build layers of flavor, again, we don't need a lot of salt, we don't need a lot of seasoning. You've got fresh ginger, we've got fresh garlic, we've got onions, we've got sesame oil in here. You've got a lot of different flavors going on. Now is the time that we're going to add our quinoa. Now, I don't do mine a traditional way at all. Again, this quinoa now has already been cooked. It has been cooled. So all you're really doing is getting that flavor in there. You're getting the sesame, you're getting the garlic, the onion, the ginger. That's what you're really doing. So this is not going to take long at all. Turn my fire up a little bit. You know, if you can get a little bit of a toast going on of your quinoa, that's great. But look at how beautiful this looks already. Isn't that lovely? One of the things we talk about in plant-based cooking and in healthy cooking is eating the rainbow. Your plate should have color. Whenever you sit down to eat, your plate should not be full of a whole bunch of things that look alike. Never that. Shouldn't be a whole bunch of yellow. Yellow usually are empty carbs, you know, like macaroni and cheese and potatoes and things like that. You want color. That looks so good. All right, the next thing we're going to do, we are going to put our egg. I can't believe how quickly this is going. Just chopping up this egg a little bit, and we're going to put the egg back in there. And we're going to just break up that egg. into our quinoa fried rice. Yummy. How delicious does that look? All right, we are coming to a close, people. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some of this 5-spice. I love 5-spice. Now, here's time for some questions. I don't know who's tuned in tonight, but here is my first question for a chance to win spices. Now, some of you have already won. That's fine. You can answer this, and maybe you give the spices as a gift to a friend. Okay? So here's the first question. We have 3 questions tonight. What are the 5 spices that are in Chinese 5-spice? There are some variations from time to time, but what are the 5 spices? If you can at least give me like there's 3 main ones. I would love the 5, but if you can give me the 3 main ones, that would be great. So I'm going to sprinkle, let's see, how much do I have here? I have like a half teaspoon of this 5-spice. It's an interesting flavor. I think it is so incredibly authentically Asian. I love using it. So I've got that in there. I'm going to use just a little more because I like it. What spices make up Chinese 5-spice? And if you can give me 3 of those spices, I'm going to give you some spices. All right, so we've got our just egg mixed with our tofu scrambled magic. We've got fresh carrots, fresh peas, snow peas. We've got sesame oil, ginger, garlic, onion, all in this. Now we're gonna add some fresh sliced scallion. I don't like to cook it. I like the texture, I like the bite. So I'm adding that in the end. And the last thing I'm going to add are some of my bean sprouts. Now, sometimes, you can do this on top, but again, I love the crunch of it. And have you all noticed that we have not added any salt to this? No salt to this. So what I'm going to do at the very end, I need to taste this for flavor, and I forgot a spoon. Let's see. Phyllis, you have 2 of them. Well, you got 3 of them correct. Congratulations, Phyllis. Anise, clove, and cinnamon. It's actually white pepper. And what's the other one? Yep, you're close. It's actually white pepper, but you have 4 of them. Ginger is not in the one I use, but it is used sometimes. All right, so our next question as we come to a close. This is so delicious, y'all. I honestly don't even have to put any salt on this. I'm not just saying that. I honestly don't have to put any salt on this. Our next question is, what is the West African name for sesame seeds? What is the West African name for sesame seeds? So now we're going to plate. My, this looks so outstanding. It tastes so great. So what I would suggest to you, I did not add any salt to this. What you could do is you could always have a small little bowl of like low sodium soy sauce on the table. You could do that. You could do a sprinkle of it over this. I like to let people control their sodium content, so I would not add it to this because you've got so many flavors in this that you don't need it. You really don't need it. Anybody have the answer? What is the West African name for sesame seeds? This is a bowl of deliciousness, people. So let's make it. I love to make things pretty. So I'm just going to do just pile up some bean sprouts on top of this just to add a little more texture. I'm gonna do some scallions on this. You turn that off. I'm gonna sprinkle some sesame seeds on top. This is plant-based deliciousness. No animals were harmed. This is low carb. The carbs that you have in here are complex carbs, the kind of carbs that you need to eat, not simple carbs like white rice, which would traditionally be used. It's full of flavor. It was easy to make. You saw that it was easy to make. Okay, I need to move this off the heat. What is the West African name for sesame seeds? Who can answer that question? And if you can't answer that question, let's go to the next question. And the next question is, where in the American South were sesame seeds first introduced? Where in the American South were sesame seeds first introduced? And while you ponder on that, let's take a looky-loo at this. Come on, do you need rice? You don't need rice. Quinoa. Quinoa is taking the place of rice in this dish, and it is altogether lovely. It's yummy. I know my husband is about to kill this. We have plated it beautifully. I'm gonna put some chopsticks on the side, although I would never be able to eat this with chopsticks because I'm greedy and I'm sure I would use like a big spoon and eat it. But it sure looks pretty. Let's look at it again. Oh, Phyllis, I hope it's not. Benny seed. Okay, you are correct. You are correct. Look at this again. We get the shot of the side shot of this beautiful dish. Look at that. Beautissimus. Yes, Phyllis, I want you to try to make it. Okay, well, Phyllis, you have won 2 sets, and we can send them to whomever you would like. I can send them directly to you, or you can give me the information and I will send them out. Thank you for joining us this week. We've got, our cameras are different this week, so I'm looking over here, but it's actually in front. So thank you for joining us this week on Reclaiming Your Health. We love meeting you every week here. The Reclamation Project is an incredible project. It's an incredible effort. And I am so honored to be a part of it, to be able to share the message of health and showing you how accessible it really is, how easy it is. I am a plant-based chef who celebrates Africa and the African diaspora through the plant-based lens, but this has really pushed me to incorporate world cuisine because I know we have a world audience. So all of those who are watching around the world, thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to share our view of plant-based cooking. And I would love for you all, send a message to the Reclamation Project. Let us know what you would like to see, what you would like me to try to veganize and things like that. I would love that challenge. We're gonna start incorporating some other dishes from other cultures. One of my favorite cultures is the Filipino culture. I grew up in Daly City, California, and I know about Pinoys and Pinays. I know about banana toron. I know about lumpia. I know about pancit. I know about all those things. I'm a little shy with them, but I think I'm going to start trying them on the show because there's so many dishes in Filipino culture that actually are adaptable to vegan lifestyle or actually are vegan already. And it is so with so many other cuisines. But we are so grateful that you join us week after week. We're excited about growing with you and getting better at doing this thing. But that's it. Thanks for joining Reclaiming Your Health. We hope you enjoyed seeing how to make this quinoa fried rice. I'm about to destroy this bowl. See you next week. Bye-bye.